Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another edition of our Reimagine 2021 virtual conference series. I'm your co-host, Ashlie Meredith, and today we're bringing you version 8.0 State of the Art Chain, bringing you all the updates, news, gossip around this big NFT boom, how blockchain is being used to work with the art industry, music industry, gaming industry, and all of the new people who are coming to the space because of these exciting developments. Welcome, and we're going to guide you through it. So today I'm here with Masha Vyazemskaya. She's the head of PR and communications at Rarible. And Rarible is a marketplace where anyone can create and sell digital collectibles secured on the blockchain. Welcome, Masha. How are you doing today?
Hi, thank you so much for having me. I'm doing fantastic. Yeah, it's been pretty busy couple of months for Rarible. Well, a year, I would say. So just powering through it.
Well, yes, thank you so much for being here. So for anyone who's just tuning in, head on over to our YouTube channel, Reimagine 2020, smash that subscribe button. We have other interviews with people on the Rarible team. The co-founder, Alex Salinkov, has come on before. So definitely go check that out after this interview. But for anyone who hasn't seen those interviews, Masha, can you give us an introduction to what Rarible is and what you guys do?
Yeah, absolutely. Happy to do so. So Rarible is an NFT marketplace, and it's an open and a decentralized marketplace. So it is closer to a social network experience opposed to like some other marketplaces that have taken more the alley of being like curated art galleries. So we're a social experience in several contexts. So first of all, we have a lot of social features like followings and likes and personalized activity feeds and personalized email notifications, which is like basically the tools that we provide to create communities within Rarible. Then we are also a community-owned and governed marketplace. We're moving towards being a full DAO, a full decentralized autonomous organization. So this is also like a big, social community experiment for us. Essentially, one of the first, actually the first company building a DAO for non-tech audience. And we are also moving beyond marketplace as it is right now, getting ready to launch our NFT protocol, open source infrastructure for community to build on top of. But I'm happy to maybe to dive a bit deeper into that further today.
Yeah, absolutely. I think for this event, a lot of people are jumping into the blockchain space for the first time because they've seen that there might be some value in being able to, tokenize physical assets, create digital art, track its ownership. And so we're seeing, celebrities and then their fans coming into the space. So for anyone kind of new to blockchain, who I think a lot of our viewers will be, who are tuning into especially this NFT themed event, what does it mean to have a more social platform? What does it mean to have a DAO or decentralized autonomous organization where the community kind of owns and makes decisions for the platform? What value is that going to bring to customers?
Mm-hmm. Well, starting from the social component. So on Rarible, I think the majority of news and the majority of hype with NFTs has been around art, around digital art. But in fact, there are a lot of applications for NFTs that are underexplored yet. And on Rarible, we have a lot of different types of assets, such as music, NFTs, video NFTs, some in-game assets, photography. So for instance, a couple of weeks ago, a previously unpublished photo of Andy Warhol was auctioned off for $100,000, which was a very interesting case and very exciting to witness the beating around that. So all these different types of assets, different types of content, and at Rarible, we understand that we are open in a sense that we don't want to concentrate only on digital art because there are so many applications for NFTs, and NFTs themselves. Our team thinks about it as generally what it represents. It's digital ownership in the next generation of internet. So it's something that you can own in a digital form, any type of asset. And we really want to see communities being created around different types of creators. So we want to see, dedicated communities around photography as, an additional channel for distribution of this type of content, and for music, and for videos, and well, for digital art as well. So being social for us means that essentially you can create your own profile, and you can build your own following base and community, and think of different ways how to monetize your own content, different creative applications around that. So this is probably like the social component that I mentioned. And in terms of the community governance, so Rarible builds this like innovative structure, incentivizing people to take part in the decisions, like what features to prioritize on the platform. Maybe also allocating budgets to support community initiatives, which is also something that Rarible is doing. And just rewarding people who are contributing to building this ecosystem. And to this regard, Rarible also has a token. It's called Rari, which is a governance token. So a tool that people can use to vote on some of the like platform updates or some decisions, budget allocations. But it is also distributed as a reward to creators and collectors every week. So if you make a sale or purchase on the platform, every week you receive Rari as well, some people have referred to it as a cashback, which is certainly not the most accurate way to describe it, but it probably conveys the idea. So this is like one ecosystem united, where different creators of different industries, different approaches kind of come together to shape this ecosystem that empowers the creators and gives new ways to monetize content.
Yeah, that's so great. Like, I think it's a concept that especially people new to the blockchain space might have a little trouble understanding, but once you kind of explain, maybe by analogy, and you as a communications person, I'm very interested to hear like how Rarible is thinking about communicating these kinds of ideas to people. But once you kind of explain to them that, don't you think that you deserve, by in virtue of being the reason why this platform is what it is, right? If no one was selling their art on there, no one would go there. It wouldn't exist. So for every, if you knew that like for every sale you made in some marketplace, you were getting the opportunity to actually decide how that marketplace should be built, vote for some of the changes that you'd like to see to make it an even better platform for you to sell your art on. I think it's something that can get people really excited once they sit down and think about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's really a learning curve. So as I mentioned, Rarible is the first project building this type of an organization, this DAO for a non-tech audience. So it's also a learning curve for us. How to create this, in a very engaging way, in a simple way that people can understand, that is compelling to artists to take part in. But I think that so far we have been pretty efficient in communicating that, and I think Rarible is in a pretty unique space in terms of the growth that we've been getting. It was the majority of traffic and traction has been organic. So I feel like Rarible in communicating, building the communications around the platform being creator centric, and creative tools, creative technology tools that platform provides. Rarible is also one of the easiest platforms to use in terms of the user experience, in terms of connecting a wallet, setting up the account, creating an NFT. So it requires no coding skills, no technical knowledge. And I think probably like the major roadblock still for people to enter the space really relates to setting up a wallet and buying Ethereum, which is also something that we're taking steps to improve. So today, on the day of the recording, we have just added the first option for credit card payments. So now you can buy Ethereum on the platform directly from Rarible using your credit card, which is also one of the like one of the first steps, but also a big step to minimizing this entry barrier. And also when people get this opportunity to just, buy this art, buy some digital collectibles type of content that really speaks to them, and being able to do that without, any like dive into blockchain as a technology, that certainly appeals to users and opens up the doors for further exploring that. Actually, when you buy an NFT on a decentralized marketplace, then you get this NFT in your wallet that you can further take to any other marketplace, or maybe if it's an in-game asset, you can take it into a game that maybe your character will wear, or maybe that's some maybe just a music piece that you can also experience further on different platforms. And this is all the infrastructure, this ecosystem that is just being built. But I think once people start to like tap into that and realize what the potential around that is, we see more and more artists and creators from like non-tech space, just from traditional industries, getting really engaged.
Yeah, I think about the music thing, like I never want to buy music on Apple Play because maybe I want to listen on my other laptop or in the car or on a different platform. Like, what if you could prove ownership of a song and play it on any platform, right? And that's kind of the vision of NFTs and blockchain and all of this decentralized technology. So you can now buy and sell and buy crypto on Rarible with a credit card.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Awesome. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. We're super excited about that. And this is only one of the first solution that we'll be implementing. And a bit further on, you will also be able to buy an actual NFT directly with a credit card. So like the team at Rarible is really working hard to minimize those barriers to entry. And I feel like now we're certainly navigating the hype cycle, but I think the industry is moving closer to becoming very easy to use. And I believe in a couple of years from now, like this infrastructure will really become one of the ways to distribute content, and a lot of barriers, some other barriers such as gas prices will also be minimized. And yeah, that will open up a lot of use cases, like I say, for music, for instance. And for music, except for being like an alternative channel of distribution, peer-to-peer, from a creator to a fan, which is like fantastic and huge for actually probably all the musicians that we've been talking to, but also some additional applications like using some NFTs as kind of a social token, so an identity that's being granted to maybe people who attend some concerts, or some fans that give them additional perks and additional benefits. Or maybe you can have further on, you will have NFTs that will grant musicians with maybe some potentially revenue streams. Like it's not something that is like fully figured out in terms of like the legal framework, but these are all of the things that are possible due to the nature of blockchain, due to the nature of smart contracts, and everything that you can just code into this NFT.
Yeah, absolutely. So you mentioned before that part of this governance model and the Rari token allows people to vote for community initiatives. So I was just wondering, what kind of community initiatives are you supporting?
So right now we're in pretty early stages with the DAO development, and we will shortly be introducing staking for voting power, which will also change the way that is done now. But for the current initiatives, I welcome everybody to check out gov.rarible.com, where you can see all the current ongoing proposals that are being voted on. So essentially, there are some hirings made by the DAO. So DAO actually hiring people itself, and like fantastic specialists to lead the governance, to advise on the projects. there are some projects, some teams who are building on top of the protocol. So some development efforts that community thinks that are going to enhance the infrastructure, the adoption, some marketing efforts, some education efforts. So community members are just coming up with proposals, and some are requesting funding, and some just requesting some support. Like otherwise. So these are all the types of proposals that are being run on the platform, and we're just witnessing this very engaged community being formed around it.
Yeah, well, it's great to hear that, you're trying to fund different initiatives to make the platform better and educational stuff. It's been really encouraging over the last few years of running our university program to see a lot of the protocols in the space offering grant programs, wanting to fund people creating educational content, not just developing, but also creating videos and blogs, and just really getting everyone involved in building this technology, especially students, and putting some funding behind it. So as some of our viewers may know, MouseBelt University is a university program supporting students from 100 universities in over 24 countries. And as the head of education, I talk to students all day, and I always like to ask my interviewers, what was your background? Like, how did you get into cryptocurrency or the crypto space, blockchain space? And do you have any advice for students who are thinking of making the same career decisions?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. I'm happy to do so. So my career path was, well, now that I think about it, it was logical, but pretty unexpected for me at the moment, because I'm not a technical person at all. And I have a background in journalism, education, journalism, and media management. And I worked for entertainment companies and entertainment, like for Gibson, for instance, for a big guitar brand, and entertainment relations and PR department. And I worked with some music labels, working with artists, mostly with music artists, actually. And like further moved on to help some of the technical startups. And one of those technical startups back in 2017 was a blockchain startup, in this like a craze that was going on around at that point. So, and I also like asked myself, what is blockchain? And it took me some time to figure out, but I think once I really started to approach it, not from the standpoint of it's being something like scary, geeky technology, but like actually some real life applications and what that can mean, for the financial industry and for media industry, then I got just super engaged, and worked with several startups, and also co-founded my own PR studio that works with DeFi and some of the NFT projects, that is currently run by my twin sister. And I started working with Rarible in May last year, which I think at that point, the total lifetime volume on the marketplace was about $12,000, which is now over 100 million. So that was quite a ride for the entire team. But yeah, I really always approach it from more the communication standpoint and how I can help talented tech teams to communicate what they're building, how to better communicate the value proposition. And I feel like this has become like my role and the value that I bring into to the projects, and to Rarible being a part of the core team pretty early on.
Yeah, that's so great. This is what I tell students all the time. You don't have to be technical to work in the tech industry. I'm a philosophy master's and taught philosophy courses at university. So I'm about as far in the humanities as you can get. But it's so important in the blockchain space to have people who can communicate, right? And I tell people all the time, we need marketing people, we need communications, we need psychologists even, to really build this tech and communicate the value propositions to the customers. We're not going to have mass adoption without it. So I think it makes a lot of sense that you came from, media, journalism, music, and are now working on communicating the value of NFTs to the average user, but also potential partners at Rarible, right? So I think it would be awesome to hear, what are some of the exciting partnerships that you've gotten to work on? What are musicians and artists and maybe even clearing houses, right? Auctions, traditional art world. What are they thinking about NFTs? What are they looking for? And do you have any, exciting things coming down the pipeline?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, of course. Yeah, probably first, like to address, your point on like that's really important to have people outside of the blockchain space, because it's pretty difficult for developers to communicate what they're building, and I think that was like why this like NFT space like boomed so much, exactly because NFTs finally like gave this application uh, for people outside of blockchain space that people understand, applications for digital art, something visual, something kind of palpable. And this really brought the entire industry forward. So I certainly, recommend everybody to not be discouraged by, the first kind of vision of blockchain being something hard, because probably like in several years from now, is some would love to say that nobody would even know that it's on blockchain. So it will just be the technological stack for that. And in terms of partnerships, we have seen a lot of fantastic creators and brands coming to Rarible. For instance, like from musicians like Tyga, like Lindsay Lohan, brands like Taco Bell. Now we have next week a fantastic campaign being launched by Dole brand, who partnered up with
Like the fruit company?
Yes. So they partnered up with David Datuna, who's also known as a hungry artist, because he ate the famous banana on the Miami Art Basel. So,
Yes.
and they've approached it from a standpoint of doing NFTs made by the artist, and with proceeds going to charity to fight hunger. So, and this for me is like a fantastic example of how NFTs can be leveraged by a brand in a meaningful way. Also, understanding like what are people looking for, what users and the NFT collectors are looking for. So yeah, this has been great. And also, well, I mentioned the Andy Warhol photography, for instance, which was also great because it is a photographer who doesn't have any active, presence in social media, and who has done this photo way back, like 30 or 40 years ago, but still was also able to convey and to communicate this artwork, this masterpiece to the outside world, and being, really well met by the crypto community. So this was very interesting to witness. And I think Rarible right now has about like 2-3 months pipeline of brands that will be launching, brands and fantastic creators. And right now we're seeing more and more, thoughtful approach to the space. Like for instance, one of my favorite examples from the past week, past couple of weeks, is a Lithuanian street artist who launched on Rarible, and his name is Kiwi, and he draws like very like nice looking monsters. And like he made 3D versions of these monsters as NFTs, and each NFT has a geolocation, and it's also programmable art. So once the original street art is being erased, from a wall, or the building gets destroyed or something like that, it triggers the contract, and the NFT itself, the monster, turns into a ghost. So
Yeah.
this is a very fun example of bridging physical and digital art, for instance.
It's so funny that you bring that up. Are you based in Lithuania or?
No, it was just like one of the cases that we highlighted from our sides, like spotted and highlighted, because it was a very fun and fantastic use case.
Yeah, I just did an interview with Chris Vavairos. He's from Gordo Gaming
Yeah,
and worked
exactly.
on that release. So for anyone just tuning in, this is Reimagine 2020. Head over to our YouTube channel, subscribe, check out that interview as well. And he was able to talk about working on that and all of the potentials that you have with something like that to actually own street art or get revenue from street art, and potentially having this geolocation where then you have augmented reality and you could see what the art should have looked like, because that's kind of a big problem with street art, is that it's often either defaced or completely removed, especially if it's illegal or something. So that was a really awesome use case. And he did say, yeah, that one of the biggest art collectors, private art collectors in Lithuania, purchased them on Rarible. And it was his first NFTs. I think he bought 2. And so now you have this like traditional art collector who is adding NFTs to their collection. And it's just also exciting and fun to see these kind of worlds combine of this traditional art world and even street art, right? Which is probably one of the oldest forms of art in the world. We've been writing on walls since humans have ever existed. And then having so much of this new exciting technology added onto it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm happy that you also talked to him, because I'm pretty sure that he gave a much deeper outlook on that. But that certainly was one of the highlights for the past couple of weeks from our side. And yeah, we're also seeing like Mark Cuban, for instance, as one of the like prominent figures that who minted NFTs on Rarible, and he also really loved the way that he approached it. Like just releasing one card, I think in 5 copies for as low as I think about $30, that got sold out instantly, and so we received a lot of interest on the secondary market. And then like he also did some collabs with existing NFT artists, and did sold an NFT with unlockable content of, I think it was either a personalized video message or a call. So also, toying around with different applications for the unlockable content, which was one of the features on Rarible, and unlockable content that people can use for, maybe attaching some physical goods, like shipping, the actual physical artwork or something else, or maybe using it as an instrument for meet and greet for the existing like fan communities. So targeting more like fan bases of artists, or maybe something else, maybe links to some AR applications. So like it's really, Rarible is pretty agnostic in terms of the technology tools that we provide, in terms of different types of fixed sales, or like open auction or timed auction, and doing single edition, multiple editions, and then this unlockable content. So it's just like a canvas and this like infinitely creative space that I think like people are just experimenting with, and like slowly starting to realize where the potential lies.
Yeah, especially as our lives become more digital, and we're able to kind of create these layers of experiences on top of even physical goods. We had another interview with an NFT company, linking luxury goods and authenticating them and having an NFT that's associated with it. And because of the transparent, immutable, distributed technology, can have like a history of who had owned it before or where it came from, unlockable content, and really building stories around the art or the media that we consume or the things that we buy. And I think that's something that consumers are looking for. They don't want to just own something. They want to have a story or an experience around it. And it's cool to see how people are experimenting with that.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I really personally, approach like NFT and, working in a like basically like a tech company, an NFT marketplace, but it's also a media company. And I believe that, in the coming months and years, this will more and more become just like really like a new media industry, which is like we're really like, at exciting times, because we're just like witnessing the very, very early stages of it being born. And yeah, talking about experimenting as well, Rarible, for instance, has its own building, its own gallery in Decentraland, which is a metaverse.
Oh
So
yeah.
very cool BRK English inspired building shaped as R letter. And we did a couple of exhibitions there, for instance. So you can, go with your avatar, walk around the building, see the art and buy the art directly, which is also like probably, our Alex, I'm not sure if like if he said that on the interview, but like he likes to say that like the goal of the industry is to basically make the internet one giant metaverse, which will be interconnected, that you can freely move around your items, things you own digitally across different platforms, different experiences. And that's probably where we're headed.
Absolutely. So in terms of the current NFT boom, like why do you think that it has been, is it just the price of Bitcoin? People are paying attention to cryptocurrencies more. We started back in like 2017 or earlier with CryptoKitties, and it didn't really seem to take off. Like NFTs have been around for a while. What do you think is driving this current hype, and what do you think the future holds, maybe the next
Mm-hmm.
year?
Yeah, I think like when it comes to the hype, I think like generally the situation in the world has certainly contributed to the interest. As you know, a lot of artists and musicians, like creators across different industries have, faced like the lack of, some physical presence, some like typical opportunities to monetize their works, and really exploring what can be done like in a digital form. And certainly NFTs has provided this type of content. Then I believe like the technology around NFTs has certainly matured since its birth, since the inception. And I think like yeah, in this time of everything moving to a digital world, for a creator, like typically for digital artists, the opportunity to actually monetize creations are typically to either work by like on a commission basis, so to create something requested by a brand or by someone, or to sell some maybe physical versions or prints or something, or like licensed photos. And now like being able to sell the artwork and be like directly to a consumer who wants to collect it, who wants to own it because he likes it, or because like he or she believes that it's going to appreciate and value as a collectible element. This is like groundbreaking. This is huge for creators, and I feel like a lot of interest has been going around, like independent creators who really want independence in what they're doing. So I believe this to a large extent, and I feel like the first time that we really saw a boom in the NFT market was last July when Rarible launched Rari token. So essentially, this like incentivization mechanism, what is called liquidity mining in DeFi. So like using the platform, using the protocol, and being rewarded to do that. That's where we really saw a spike in interest, and some of the first bigger artists like Pac and Osinachi, or one of the like most well-known NFT creators right now, also like just discovered the platform and started to experiment with that. So I think it really was like this step-by-step adoption, and then the world just started to realize that okay, that might be the next big media thing, the next big thing in the internet and Web 3.0.
Yeah, I think it makes a lot of sense. You'd probably say like the pandemic, right? Causing a lot of artists to lose their traditional revenue streams, people going more and more digital. Even us, right? Because of the pandemic, we started throwing this virtual conference. So people's lives have moved a lot more online, and NFTs are a way that you can still monetize in the digital world. And there's a lot of exciting developments, and congratulations for everything Rarible has been doing. It's so exciting. To just round out our conversation, we are talking about the bridging this gap between the art world and blockchain, NFTs, blockchain and gaming. So I have to ask you, who is your favorite artist? Is there an NFT creator that you have been following that you think everyone should check out?
Yeah, I would say like probably Osinachi is one of my personal favorite NFT artists. Yeah, and I really like what Pac is doing. So probably these two. But yeah, I feel like there I'm discovering new talent. I'm discovering new artists and new musicians for myself every day. Yeah, so probably like being really overwhelmed with new content and new artists that I see every day, but it's also like a huge inspiration for me personally. Um, yeah, and yeah, I really hope to see like more artists discovering this and discovering like new creative technology applications for themselves.
Yeah, well, what a fun job that it's basically, your job to just be surrounded by art and music and artists and musicians and try to, bring them into this NFT space. So I hope that any students tuning in, kind of feel inspired that if they come from an arts or a communications background, that there's this new technology and that they should pursue a career in blockchain. Yeah, so for anyone just tuning in, you're watching Reimagine 2021 version 8.0 state of the art chain, and we've been talking with Masha from Rarible. Thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. Yeah, I'm happy to share what we're working on at Rarible and the outlook on the space. And yeah, thank you for having me.